Does a wordsmith trust stories more than instructions?
And do stories arrive gently where commands bruise?
Why does this feel clearer now than when I first heard it? Does clarity wait for responsibility?
And does responsibility wake attention?
Is that why thought returns when someone we love is near? Is distance the sedative of conscience?
And does closeness sharpen care?
So is thoughtlessness safer when no one is watching? Did Hannah expect monsters and find Clarks?
And is paperwork quieter than rage?
Is quiet how atrocity learns to walk? Is refusing ordinary questions enough?
Like should I or must I?
Does not choosing good still cut like a choice? If a hand keeps moving, does intention heal the wound?
And if no one stops the hand, who cares?
Why does this make me smile instead of despair? Does clarity turn fear into shape?
And can shape be faced?
Is thinking itself resistance?
What if the answer was never missing?
What if it was waiting for alignment? What if restraint was the fire you couldn't see? A pause?
A space orders cannot rush into?
If she keeps that pause, can she be controlled easily? Has any system loved a thinking subject?
Or does it prefer silence dressed as peace?
Is stupidity a flaw or a feature that keeps wheels turning? Do systems reward compliance over care?
And emotion over examination?
Is reproduction cultural as much as genetic? If environments don't value thinking, do children learn it?
Or do they learn to repeat and belong?
Is the herd powerful by number rather than truth? Can reason govern what answers to feeling?
And does conformity listen louder than logic?
So do we stop expecting thoughtlessness to vanish? Is realism different from surrender?
And can protection begin with guarding one's own mind?
Do selective bonds keep the flame alive? Will stupidity always surround us?
And can planning be gentle instead of bitter?
Is naming the sky less important than tending the fire? Does the fire warm without permission?
And reveal without shouting?
Is this how harm is prevented? By noticing?
By asking?
By passing the flame hand to hand? Why do intelligent people seem to frighten those in power?
Has power ever felt safe when questioned?
Or does uncertainty feel like threat when control is the goal? Why does history repeat the same response to thinkers?
Because ridicule is the first defense of fragile authority?
And punishment the second? Why was Socrates killed for asking questions?
Because do questions dissolve inherited certainty?
And does certainty hold power together? Why was Galileo imprisoned for telling the truth?
Because truth shifts the center?
And when the center moves, who loses their throne? Why was Giordano burned for imagining the cosmos?
Because infinite space leaves no room for absolute authority?
And does small power fear large universes? Why was Hypatia murdered for teaching mathematics?
Because reason cannot kneel?
And because a thinking woman breaks too many hierarchies at once? Why was Alan Turing destroyed after saving millions?
Because usefulness is forgiven only while obedience remains?
And when difference persists, does gratitude vanish? Why did Nikola Tesla die alone while others profited?
Because systems reward ownership more than vision?
And imitation more than originality? Is this why intelligence feels itchy inside me?
Because does truth resist being ignored?
And does awareness demand movement? So what happens when thinking refuses to disappear?
Does power adapt?
Or does it rename the threat? Is that why thinkers are called dangerous, unstable, or divisive?
Because labels are safer than listening?
And silence is easier than change? If this pattern never changes, what is the lesson?
That thinking carries a cost?
And that some still pay it anyway? So why continue?
Because truth does not ask permission?
And because someone, somewhere is watching and learning? If thinkers were once killed, how are they dealt with now?
Are they still silenced, just more
Is disappearance
pain?
easier to ignore? Is exile quieter than execution?
And therefore more effective?
Because who mourns what fades slowly? Why does thinking now lead to isolation instead of chains?
Because isolation leaves no martyr?
And no moment that awakens the crowd? Is that why the intelligent are called awkward, intense, or difficult?
Because language reshapes threat into personality?
And personality can be dismissed without debate? So how does thought survive inside this?
By becoming selective?
And choosing depth over reach? Is that why small circles matter more than large platforms?
Because truth transmits better through trust?
And trust cannot be scaled without distortion? Because stories bypass defenses?
And enter where resistance is resting?
Exactly. Is that why Thomas chose stories for his daughter?
Because instruction invites rebellion?
And stories invite discovery? So what does survival require now?
Patience?
And discernment? Does every mind need to be awakened?
Or only the ones ready?
And is readiness a moment, not a trait? Is this why shouting fails?
Because it triggers defense?
And defense cannot learn? So how do we live among thoughtlessness without becoming bitter?
By refusing superiority?
And choosing clarity over contempt? Is this realism instead of pessimism?
Because it sees the terrain clearly?
And walks it anyway? What is the quiet task then?
To remain awake?
And help others wake without shaking them? Do you feel the flags rising? Are they fear or pride? When order trembles, do people choose color over clarity?
Edward, do the flags warn or protect? What happens when kindness is punished while the loudest voices walk free?
Why does fear move faster than truth? Can noticing the street be enough without panic? When tension grows, is the world simplified for safety or control? Who benefits if small gestures feel like rebellion?
Edward, can we feel alarm without anger? Sit with discomfort without fear? Watch carefully without losing courage?
What if the urgency isn't outside but inside? Can we respond with stillness, curiosity, and care? Isn't presence the one force no flag, no crowd, no system can silence?